Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace JIVA TATTVA PRABHU. And all glories to the Assembly Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank God for being here as always. Today is Friday, the last day of the busy week. And we are fortunate to have His Grace who will be sharing Srimad Bhagavatam with us today. Well, of course, you all know Prabhuji needs no introduction. He is one of ours. And we're very grateful, Prabhuji, for your regular visit, blessings, and sharing of your wisdom with us. So without further ado, it's interesting, we just started a new chapter. This is the second verse of the new chapter. So we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please join me in the invocation prayers. We'll say it together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Hya Bhadrani Vidunote Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important chapter, and this is where Vidur is going to show how to approach a spiritual master by his example. Hare Krishna. So please join in the recitation of this verse. Hare Krishna Prabhu, could you please move it a little up, as folks may be using the English version, including me? Hare Krishna. Thank you. So this is from 3rd Canto, chapter 5, verse 2nd. Vidur uvacha sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham vanayad uparamam va vindeta bhuyas tata eva dukkham yadatra yuktam bhagwan vadenanaha. So this can also be done in another meter. Vidur uvacha Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nahate sukham vanayadu paramam va vindeta bhuyastata eva dukkham yad atra yuktam bhagwan vadenanaha. Synonyms, word for word. Vidura uvacha. Vidura said, Sukhaya, for attaining happiness. Karmani, fruitive activities. Karoti, everyone does so. Lokaha, in this world. Na, never. Teha, by those activities. Sukham, any happiness. Va, or anyat, differently. Uparamam, satiation. Va, either. Vindeta, achieves. Bhuyaha, on the contrary. Tataha, by such activities. Eva, certainly. Dukkham, miseries. Yat, that which. Atra, under the circumstances. Yuktam, right course. Bhagwan, O Great One. Vadeta, may kindly enlighten. Naha, us. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vidur said, O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us directions on how one should live for real happiness. Purport. Vidur asked Maitreya some common questions, which are not originally his intention. Uddhav asked Vidur to approach Maitreya Muni and inquire into the truths concerning the Lord, his name, fame, qualities, form, pastimes, entourage, etc. And thus, when Vidur approached Maitreya, he should have asked only about the Lord. But out of natural humility, he did not immediately ask about the Lord, but inquired into a subject which would be of great importance to the common man. A common man cannot understand the Lord. He must first know the real position of his life under the influence of the illusory energy. In illusion, one thinks that he can be happy only by fruitive activities. But what actually happens is that one becomes more and more entangled in the network of action and reaction and does not find any solution to the problem of life. There is a nice song in this connection. Because of a great desire to have all happiness in life, I built this house, but unfortunately, the whole scheme has turned to ashes because the house was unexpectedly set on fire. The law of nature is like that. Everyone tries to become happy by planning in the material world, but the law of nature is so cruel that it sets fire to one's schemes. The fruitive worker is not happy in this scheme, nor is there any satiation of his continuous hankering for happiness. Hare Krishna. Please join me for Guru Pranati and seek blessings from the Acharyas. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम अज्ञान तिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तदहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम् श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So beautiful verse and has so many lessons for us to take. So again, Vidur has approached Maitreya Muni and his inquiry is for a common man. And here he's asking from the perspective of a common man. And somebody would be surprised. There's some important aspects as is shown in the translation. Srila Prabhupada said, "O great sage," but Vidura calls him Bhagwan, right? One who is full in all six opulences is known as Bhagwan. Yet at the same time, one who is properly situated in pure devotional service is also referred to as such. Now, Maitreya Muni, prior to seeing Lord Krishna, when Uddhav was receiving the message from Lord Krishna to take to Nar-Narayan Rishi, Maitreya Muni also appeared. And after all the Yadus, they had, the men, they had got into fight because of being under the influence of intoxicating rice liquor, which was actually an effect of Yogamaya. Afterwards, Lord Krishna, he was sitting under a tree and Uddhav came and Lord passed on the message for Nar-Narayan Rishi, and Maitreya Muni also appeared, who is a friend of Vyasadeva. So we have to look at it from various perspectives. Maitreya Muni is a very close friend of Srila Krishna Dvaipanya Vyas. So friend knows all the secrets of other friend, right? They're confidential, very close friends. So they know about each other. So, of course, we also know that Uddhav is the seminal son of Srila Vyasadeva through the maidservant of one of the queens, the kept queens of Vichitravirya, the brother of Vyasadeva. So he is also aware of that, as will also be revealed. Yet, and earlier we also covered, we have to understand Vidwan Vidur, he becomes Mahatma after, he's referred to as Mahatma after this. Of course, he is already Mahatma because he is none other than Yamraj. So that's a very important aspect, that he's one of the Mahajanas and who is showing by his example. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord reveals this. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashanena sevaya updekshyanti taj jnanam jnaninas tattvadashina. Tad vidhi pranipatena. Vidhi refers as per the process, right? One has to approach a spiritual master, but then how do you approach? What do you do when you approach a spiritual master? You serve the spiritual master, you provide them, service, and guhyam akhyati prachati. So you inquire about the confidential matters. Again, as is revealed in the purport, Srila Prabhupada reveals that inquiry about the name, form, activities, pastimes, and entourage of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So making inquiry, prashnena, an important question. And here, when he's asking this about a common man, that question itself is so deep that is revealing to Maitreya Muni that Vidur is not a common man. But yet, he is an exalted personality. He is Yamraj, who was cursed by Mandavya Muni, also referred to as Manduk Muni. To become a Shudra, he has appeared as a Shudra. And he is a great learned personality. And he has come. So Maitreya accepts him from that particular perspective, as we'll see in the remaining part of this chapter. But the first question that Vidur is posing is not directly related with Lord Krishna. Because a common man, when they hear about this conversation, they may get confused, as Srila Prabhupada is revealing in the purport. He's asking about a common man because just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was more concerned about the fallen souls. It's like that these fallen souls, they're constantly suffering in this world. So I would rather have them delivered than, look after my liberation. And same is the mood of Vidwan Vidur in this case. He's asking about a common man. So somebody could say, oh, common man, they know about happiness. They know about material happiness. They can go and enjoy and sing a song and party and go to clubs. That's their level of happiness. But the scriptures reveal to us that that does not give happiness. That does not satiate one's hearts, right? As we also understand, Shravtam Sukata Krishna, Punya Shavana Kirtana, Hridayanta Sohabhadrani. All the impurities of the hearts are driven away. And one is properly situated. And Nashta Prayasha Bhadrisha, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. And what's the effect of that? Bhagavati Uttam Shloke, Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtike. So the bhakti, when that comes in, pure devotional service, we embrace that in our heart, then of course all impurities go away. Now, how do we make a common man understand this? So there is a very nice story, a short story in this regard, that a man, he was searching, literally running around and searching under the street lamp. And the other person said, oh, you're searching for something. He said, yeah, I lost my car keys. So I'm looking for my car keys. So the other man also starts searching for his car keys, helping him, being a Samaritan, he's trying to help this gentleman who dropped his car keys. And then after a long time, he realizes that, we have been searching and we really searched this whole area. We couldn't find the car keys. He said, can you run by it again? He was like, actually, my car is standing over there in the parking lot, which is like in that dark area. He's like, yeah, I was about to open the car when the key slipped out of my hand. So I said, why aren't you looking there where you lost the key? He's like, well, it's dark there, but it's lighted here. I can see properly under the lamp. This is what is happening to the common man, because what they are not understanding is that they, turn their face away from Krishna, and now they are seeing the shadow. Krishna is Surya Sama. So if you're facing the sun, you will never see shadow, because the shadow will be behind you. So you don't see it. But when you turn your back to Krishna or to the sun, then you see your shadow and you think, that's me. And that's the defect of our eyes, as we can say, of our senses. And sometimes this is where, in this particular example, analogy is that lighted lamp is material energy. It's driving us away from the main purpose and showing you should search here because this area is well lit. But there's no carcass there. The carcass represents happiness in this case. And the jiva in this particular case is the man who lost his carcass near the car, but looking under the lamp. And that's our case, that a common man we are constantly trying to seek happiness. Anandbhaya Abhyasa, that's the nature of living entity. We're all seeking happiness. Yet at the same time, we are seeking in the wrong places when we look from a material perspective. And the true perspective is when we engage in Krishna Katha, where all of us are gathered together and we are doing Ishta Goshti. This is where we're discussing the sweet pastimes of Lord and his devotees. And Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes, people have the tendency to jump to the 10th canto. Srila Prabhupada did provide Krishna book early as a summary study of that 10th canto in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this, we are only interested in Krishna, but we have to also understand who is Krishna. God is great, but how great is he? And so we hear from Canto 1, 2, and so forth. And, just like when you look at the deities, you start from their feet, looking up, moving your eyesight up, and finally you see the face. That's the 10th canto. So first canto, Lord's feet, second canto, Lord's feet, then comes his knee area. And this is where the third canto is, where he's establishing Lord's position as how great God is. And Vidur, by his example, is showing us that we should approach a spiritual master, and that we should make an inquiry from the spiritual master. And even though his inquiry was not directly about Krishna, it is related with Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita, Devi hi esha gurumai mama maya duratyaya mameviya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Lord Krishna is saying that this material energy of mine, so she is under the control of Krishna, that's his external potency, is very difficult to overcome. Now, when people say very difficult to overcome, because everyone's looking for happiness, everyone is looking for peace and satisfaction, but you cannot get it unless you surrender to Lord Krishna. And those who have surrendered to Lord Krishna can easily cross over this material ocean. So this is also referred to as Bhav Sagar as an analogy. This material energy or this material universe is referred to as a great ocean. And material ocean. And if you are trying to get across the ocean, there are a few ways you can do. You can learn how to swim and try to go across. That's the mindset of a Hatha yogi. They want to build so much energy and get all kind of mystic powers and swim across this ocean. But then, second one comes as Jnani. They say, no. This material ocean, I have nothing to do with this material ocean. So they want to stay at the beach. They don't want to enter the waters. While devotees, we take a very simple approach. Following the acharyas and the example of Srila Prabhupada, we take to the chanting of holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we follow the 4 regulative principles. Very simple process. And that gives us the ticket to get on board to the Sankirtan Yagya cruise. So we have this amazing cruise line. We just go over there and continue to chant. And Srila Prabhupada reveals that our whole program is recreation program. We sing, we chant, we have prasadam. Prasadam also refers to mercy. Yet at the same time, for the need of this body, we eat sanctified food, the remnants of the Lordship of Lord Krishna and Radharani. And so our whole life is completely purified. And we don't have to wait to get to the other end of the shore to experience happiness. On this cruise itself, the Sankirtan Yajna cruise, we experience happiness. Now, in the purport, one important aspect that came was that Uddhav had referred Vidur to take shelter of Maitreya Muni. Somebody could say, well, Uddhav was a Vasu. He could have just directly, given message to and accepted Vidwan Vidur as his student, as his disciple. Why didn't he do so? And this shows the depth of knowledge and the mercy of Lord Krishna that Uddhav is receiving. He understands that he is by age junior than Vidur. He also understands who Vidur is. He's one of the Mahajanas. And Uddhav has, so I'm talking of three different factors. First, he is junior. Second, he knows who Vidur is, that he is none other than Yamraj who was cursed. And then the third aspect is that Uddhav has already been identified the mission. Mission is to carry the message of Lord Krishna to Nana and Rishi in Badrikashram. And accepting would mean that he would be delayed in doing his service for Lord Krishna. And so here he is recommending Maitreya Muni because he understands Lord's amazing arrangement that he would end up meeting Vidur and Vidur would end up asking for his shelter. And at that time, Uddhav would be able to provide him the destination, which is Maitreya Muni at Prayag, where he can take shelter of Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is senior to Vidur. And he received instruction, and this is revealed, Lord Krishna reveals to the heart of Uddhav that Maitreya Muni received the message so that he can impart that message to Vidur. And so he directs him to go and meet Maitreya Muni. Uddhav has continued his journey. Vidur goes and he is meeting Maitreya Muni and posing this question about a common man. So every single aspect in the scriptures that we see has so much depth in it. I'm going back to the purport because we want to go through the purport to see how important it is. And that a common man cannot understand the Lord, right? Cannot easily approach. So that's why it is very important for us to see from this perspective. Thank you so much. That he is asking this question. And Uddhav is asking, Mahatma Vidur is asking this question that, oh great sage, common man is seeking happiness, yet not finding it. This also shows another aspect of Vidur. It is already showing that Vidur is a devotee of Lord Krishna. And he knows who Lord Krishna is. At the same time, he is also Paradukha Dukhi. He's seeing the misery of a common man, and so he feels miserable. So that's the attitude of devotees. Devotees are Paradukha Dukhi. And the material people, non-devotees, they are like Paradukha Sukhi. They see someone in distress, they say, oh, I'm so comfortable. They have this wrong perspective that, oh, if others are in miserable state, then I'm very happy because I'm not in that state. And we should never look from that perspective. Why? Because this is very, it stops us from our own spiritual growth. One of the biggest things that mindset does is it's stopping the materialist to take shelter of Lord Krishna, to seek self-improvement. They feel satiated that, oh, I'm so much better. One friend, I was discussing, why do we have all these Guinness Book of World Records and all these books, which just talks about some mundane things, right? This person was using scooter for driving on, the scooter, the standing one, for 5 days, and that makes an entry in Guinness Book of World Records nonstop. Like, why would somebody do that? It's like, you do know where this comes from. I'm like, no, I do not. Please enlighten me. And this friend shared that, what do you expect? Means Guinness is name of a beer, which is intoxicating liquid. And these people are just holding this jar of intoxicating liquid, drinking it as kind of like identifying things that others are doing. They have no other business to do. And that is showing how precious life is wasted. Where also we saw that we must understand what's the real purpose of this life. The real purpose of this life to go back home, back to Godhead. Yet mundane people, they frivolously spend their time. And there's a beautiful poem that was referred near the end of the purport was that I made a lot of effort to build this house. So in a materialistic mindset, someone would build great set of properties and big family and all this. This is all house, but it's not really home. Because a house may be set on fire and can get destroyed. So that's referring to, you can say, it's an analogy to this material body as well. We spend a lot of time in executing various activities in this life, but we are not executing devotional activities. Then those are material activities, non-devotional, which is, and what happens in due course of time? This important house that we have received, the human birth, the rare human birth that we have received by the mercy of the Lordship. We are not even qualified to receive it, but that is lost, that vanishes. And once again, one falls down from the current position and has to go through 8.4 million species of life. Now, somebody could say, oh, so we just have to take to devotional service. And yes, for a simple-minded person, you follow the regulative principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, chant minimum of 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on a daily basis. Very simple process. Your life will be sublime. Yes, Srila Prabhupada always used to say as a mantra, chant and be happy. We can follow it, yet at the same time also be careful of material energy. We always be careful, not careless. And now, when we are careful but not careless, but taking shelter of the Lordship, we can become carefree. So yes, avdhuta is another word. A person who's carefree of all material dealings, that's the nature of an advanced devotee we see. We hear about avdhuta Brahman. So if I was to ask you, dear participants, please identify how many gurus do you have? In the chat, you can share. How many gurus do you have? So we know about Path Pradarshik Guru, and there can be many. We know about Shiksha Gurus, there can be many. We know about Diksha Guru, and there can only be one. Yes. And we have to understand when we are coming together as a community, there's some important principles that come in. So we have many spiritual masters, and we should not distinguish between those spiritual masters saying this one is greater, this one is lower. We are taking lessons from them. That is the most important aspect. And we should always be ready to learn, as Srila Prabhupada, he himself, once a physician, a doctor told him that you should go for a morning walk. Srila Prabhupada took that to heart. He said, yes, I'm doing chanting and I'm going for a morning walk. And I'm doing this as a very important activity. So he would take, one lady approached him and said, why are you doing the magazines? Because people read magazines once and then they, put it aside. If you were to write a book, then people would pick it up again and again from the shelf and read it again and again. And that was the inspiration Srila Prabhupada received. Of course, he knew that his purpose was to follow the order of spiritual master, but it directed him to become more firm and more stable in writing Bhagavad Gita as it is, and so much wonderful, so many Srimad Bhagavata, Chaitamrita, and so many books for our benefit. So we have many spiritual masters in our life. and we should be ready to take. Now, somebody could say, well, they're not really a spiritual master, they're just like teachers. Well, we see the example of 9-year-old Gopal in Chaitamrita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, when I go to, evacuate at that particular time, I hold my tongue because I don't want to be chanting. And he says, but what if death arrives at that moment? Immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you are my guru. Right there, he is showing us by his example that anyone, even a young child, when they reveal to us something that makes us realize what is the purpose and how we are approaching towards Krishna. When anyone who brings us closer to Krishna is our guru. Anyone who puts us away from Krishna, we should be avoiding their company, because that's not very beneficial. Yet we should not be angry at the messenger of bad news. Sometimes people have the tendency to do that. And the whole process is our transformation, not others' transformation. But sharing the knowledge has two benefits. The speaker gets purified because they are talking about Lord Krishna and his devotees. And the ones who are shrotas, they are also purified because they are hearing about the same pastimes. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada would start his class when he was new in New York. He would say, I may be impure. He was pure, but he would say it like that. And you may be impure, but Krishna is all pure. So in his company, we all become pure. And here, the important aspect is Vidur Mahatma, where again, he has approached Maitreya Muni to receive instruction, and he wants to hear about the Lordship, but he is par dukkha dukhi. He is inflicted with that pain that common man is lost in their purpose of life. They are not happy. And so please enlighten us. And we also have to understand this material energy is very strong. In this regard, I'm reminded of a very short story by Srila Prabhupada. So there was this spiritual master. He had a disciple, and they were living in a jungle. There was a nice stream of water where they would take bath, fruits and vegetables from the forest they would collect, and they would eat during the day, and they would continue to read Bhagavad Gita. And so in this way, they were passing the time. Once the spiritual master says, I'm going on a pilgrimage. So why don't you continue the reading of Bhagavad Gita? Live in this cave, in my cave, we nicely live there. And, use the stream of water, the spring water. So again, nicely you take bath. You have a couple of, sets of dhoti kurta. You wash one and you wear one, and read Bhagavad Gita. That's the simple instruction he gave. And he left for pilgrimage. So the disciple, he took it to his heart. Yes, I must read Bhagavad Gita. So he was reading Bhagavad Gita, but suddenly he started seeing that there's a mouse seems to be nibbling on Bhagavad Gita. So he said, oh, I have to save Bhagavad Gita from being eaten away by this mouse. What do I do? He says, I should get a cat. He goes and gets a cat. Cat says meow, and mouse will not approach Bhagavad Gita. He was able to read Bhagavad Gita, but now the cat is saying meow, meow, which means I'm hungry. Give me some milk. It's like, oh, cat needs milk to drink. What should I do? Let me get a cow. So he goes and gets a cow. So he has cow. Cow gives milk. He gives milk to the cat. Cat keeps the mouse away from Bhagavad Gita. But now the cow needs care. She needs to be fed every morning. She needs to be taken bath and all that. He's like, but if I do all that stuff, I don't have time for reading Bhagavad Gita. I should keep a caretaker for the cow. So he hires a man to be the caretaker of the cow. So the man took care of the cow. Cow gave milk. He fed that milk to the cat. Cat kept the mouse away from eating Bhagavad Gita. But then he saw that this man is lazy at times. He's not doing his duty very nicely. So it's like, I cannot hire another man to watch over this man. I must make an arrangement so that I don't have to worry about it. It's like, maybe I should get married. If I'll get married, then my wife will be completely devoted to me, and she will watch on this man to make sure that he's not lazy. So she'll watch on this man. The man cannot be lazy. The man will take care of the cow. The cow will get milk. The milk will be fed to the cat, and the cat will keep the mouse away from eating Bhagavad Gita. So he gets married. wife comes and she's watching, but then at the same time, she has a demand. She's like, give me nice clothes, give me nice jewelry. I want children, because what's the purpose? Every single activity in our life has a purpose. What's the purpose of marriage? To beget a child. So she's asking for a child. So yes, he has to meet her demands. So now, how does he, just by reading Bhagavad Gita, he cannot meet his demands. He's like, let me start. This is a nice forest. There's a lot of nice trees over here. There are lots of fruits over here. I'm growing vegetables over here. So maybe I can start a trade. I can, do some, and from that I'll get some money, and then from that money I will take care of my wife, and then she will be happy. She'll watch over this man. The man will take care of the cow. The cow milk will be fed to the cat, and the cat will keep the mouse away from eating Bhagavad Gita. Now, after finishing his pilgrimage, his spiritual master comes and he says, "What is that? You have no time to read Bhagavad Gita." It's like, but I'm doing everything to save the book so that I can read Bhagavad Gita. The spiritual master becomes upset and he leaves the disciple. So, of course, he did not get this mercy of spiritual master just because he did not understand the instruction very easily. All he had to do was place that Bhagavad Gita on a higher ground where the mouse cannot reach. So material energy is very strong. So again, we see from these examples that we also have to be always careful, even though we may become carefree, but we can never afford to be careless. To keep our focus at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Radharani, and always continue to see ways as how we can make improvements, how we can continue to improve. Now, man is a social animal. That is very well known. And I have been reading this book by His Holiness Bhaktitirth Maharaj, Reflections on the Sacred Teachings, where he is discussing the 64 principles for community. So community building. The 64 principles have been expressed. And one of the very important principle, which is principle 3, really touched my heart, because he says, anyone who does not serve Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ignorant and killer of himself. Atmaha, that word appears in Ishopanishad. Killer of the soul. Now somebody could say, but the soul is eternal. Well, away from Krishna, not serving Krishna, that in that ignorance state is worse than death for the soul. Because Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas, our very nature is to be an eternal servant of Lord Krishna. So if we are not serving Lord Krishna, we are serving Maya. We are indirectly serving Krishna, but this is worse than death. But then he further elaborates this Atmaha aspect. His Holiness Bhaktitirth Maharaj, he elaborates that the following 4 technologies can assist devotees in becoming love finders and will lead to a healthier communities. So we are not fault finders. We do fault finding within ourselves. Now, what are my faults and how can I improve? Why did I do this? That's why we have this, during this end of the day, we meditate on what all activities we did. And why did we do some of the activities which were not beneficial for our spiritual growth? So again, we take the instructions from Bhagavad Gita, and then these instructions are further elaborated by the teachings of Acharyas, and this is the 64. First is, now these are very important principles. So he's showing us 4 techniques that would help us, right? And he has already written these in Spiritual Warrior 3. First one, please pay attention. Treat everyone you encounter as if the success of your spiritual life depends on the quality of your interactions with them. Everyone. Not just the devotees, but also non-devotees. Not just the non-devotees, but also the one who are agnostics. So that's why when the devotees, they don't interact with agnostic people or people who are offensive to Lord Krishna, that is to stop agitating their mind. They're already agitated. And that our time is very important. So we have to be, it's actually a way of showing compassion towards those who actually do not accept Krishna and actually oppose Krishna, like Shishupal and so many others who are opposing when Krishna himself was there. Second is, view all conflicts as your own fault first. So whenever there is a conflict, actually conflict level 1 is the best place to be, because that's problem solving. We are together coming as a team and trying to meet an order for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. But it's the conflict level 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is like the ultimate. We are saying it, what is it that I can improve? Instead of trying to improve others. Srila Prabhupada in this regard gave a very nice analogy to Narayani Mataji. He said, when you are in the ocean and the waves are hitting you, would you say, wait a minute, these waves are representing the various kind of difficult scenarios I'm facing in this material world if the ocean is this material world? Would you say the waves, you stop and let me swim through? No, the waves won't stop. That's the nature of this material world. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. Nothing is permanent, and it's a place of misery. So we have to continue to improve ourselves. So in ocean, you will call out to the Lordship, but you will continue your duties. You will continue to struggle to swim through, and by the mercy of the Lord, the Sankirtan Yajna cruise line will hear your voice and get you out of the ocean. So Lord himself would come and he picks up his devotee. So we have seen this picture when Lord is extending his hand and lifting the devotee out of the ocean and taking back home. So we should continue to look at our faults first, not others. And then third one is reflect on the person you love the most. Now please pay attention. And aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love. So now think of the person you love the most. I know many of you are thinking of Shishi Radhakrishna or your spouses or your parents. Now you reflect that love towards everyone you meet in this life. One of the important principles when discussing His Holiness talks about that we should be careful of all the association we have, because this will be the association we'll have at the last moment of our life, at the moment of death. So how important it is that we should treat each other with love and respect. And to that level, as much as we love the person we love the most. Last but not the least, fourth one is to realize that the people in your present environment might very well be the people with whom you will live out your life and who will be with you at the time of death. But I just thought about it, but yeah, that's the fourth one. So we have to look from that perspective, that everyone around us has been put in our life by the mercy of Lord Krishna. And we have to make the best bargain. They say that when we make lemonade, when you get lime, lemons. Yeah, make lemonade out of lemons. So again, in reality, even those lemons we accept as mercy of Krishna. By mercy of Krishna, we are getting all difficult things, all good things, so that we can continue to come closer to Lord Krishna. So everything that we receive in our life, first question we should be asking is, how can this make me closer to Lord Krishna? We meet anyone, then we're like, how can I have such loving Krishna that we both have the same father? And Lord Krishna would smile on me, right? Bestow his mercy on me as well as to this person. So we have to understand this is the way. Here, Uddhav has given the instruction, Vidur has not taken the instruction to his heart and has approached Maitreya. And he's posing the question to Maitreya Muni that, O great sage, please enlighten us. How can we be happy? And this question is the most important question from a common man's perspective, because everyone wants to be happy. Anand bhaya bin sad. The soul's nature is to be happy. But what is our dharma? What is our nature? As eternal servant. If sugar is not sweet, you won't call it sugar. If chili is not hot, you won't call it chili. So if we are not serving Krishna, then we are in ignorance. And that ignorance is making us kill our very soul. So to enliven, to reawaken our dormant Krishna consciousness is a very important step. For this, we should be eternally grateful. We are eternally grateful to the spiritual masters in our life. And we constantly take to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Any questions or comments, please share.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful narration, beautiful Krishna Katha, and lots of references from His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj's books. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask or share, please do indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or to share your reflections. See, there is one devotee, let me see if he's here. Yes, he's here. Some time ago, quite a long time ago in Africa, Srimad Acharya, he was giving us like a workshop, a seminar on Sankirtan, book distribution. And one devotee, who was quite a good Sankirtan devotee, was saying during the seminar that because he sometimes goes to the beach to do book distribution. And he says, when you go to the beach, you see so many people like they're having fun, but actually they are suffering. And so I remember very well, just like yesterday or today, Shambhara Prabhu said, you cannot tell that individual that he's suffering. You might think, you being a devotee, you might think that he's suffering, which probably in reality it is, but he does not see himself suffering. So my question is, how do we as devotees try to explain to the non-devotees who are enjoying material life that whatever they consider to be enjoyment, that is giving them happiness, it's actually not a true happiness, because to them, they're happy. If someone has money, has his girlfriend, they go to the beach, they play music, they eating, to him, he's happy. So how do we tell such people that, my dear brother, this is not a real happiness? What do we do? How do we say it? How do we approach it? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So many examples came to my mind. So let me start simple approach. First of all, charity begins at home. We are going out to preach and to distribute books to please Srila Prabhupada, to please Guru and Gauranga for the pleasure of the Lordship. So we are doing those duties from that perspective, right? To spread Lord's mercy to others. But Lord's mercy also, sometimes it's very interesting that people are looking for happiness and they think that this would give them happy. Like we talked about the lamp, the under which people are seeking happiness, the key, so that they can get to the destination. But they're not looking at the right place. So when you say to the person, oh, you're looking at the wrong place, the person may feel offended and may rebuke you. So we have to be very soft. Give them the glimpse of what true happiness is. This reminds me of a nice example Gauranga Das Prabhu, he shared long back. Once he was meeting this Indian man who was going to the nightclubs, right? And he invited, just like that, why don't you come to the temple? Oh, you like to dance? You like to sing? Oh, we have a lot of singing and dancing and feasting going on at the temple. Why don't you join us? And he invited him to the Sunday Love Feast. And this man came and he's like, oh, wow, you guys are really dancing. And everyone was dancing together. He was saying the whole group of men were dancing here, the group of ladies were dancing here. And then he said, well, yeah, I'm dancing with you. It feels really nice. But what about, why the ladies separately? Because his mind was attraction towards the opposite sex. That's why he was going to club. And he says, why are the ladies over there? They should come over here. It's like, no. There is only one couple that comes, that's Radha Krishna on the altar. They are together dancing. Everyone else is dancing with men here and ladies there. It's like, oh, okay. But he really enjoyed that dancing. And afterwards, they went for prasadam. It's like, there's a long line. It's like, no worries. Visitors get a special benefit. And first time visiting, you can come in the front. And it started because there was a specific time. We finish our program and we get in there. So if you come early, you'll be early. But today, you're the first time, let me take you to the front. And so he's like, how much does it cost? Right? The first thing is like, where's the menu card? And how much does each item cost so that I can decide what to buy? And he's like, no, everything is free. It's like, but what if I want seconds? He said, you can eat as much as you feel like. It's like, so the dancing is free, the singing is free, the feasting is free. Wow, this is perfect, formula for happiness. This is where I want to be. And he gave up the club and he started visiting temple on a daily basis, not just weekly basis or not on Sundays. He actually realized that actually he can come every day. And being a student, it saved him a lot of time, saved him a lot of frustration, and he was able to come closer to Krishna. Now, this is where it is a heart, honest heart, a faithful heart will recognize what is pleasing to the heart, right? And they will easily accept Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is easy to a simple-minded person, but it is very difficult for a crooked-minded person. Some people come and say, oh, I'm such and such important person. They are looking from the physical, material conception that I am so-and-so, aham mameti. I causes envy, mameti causes lust. Like this is mine and that is mine. And if there is something not mine, I want to make it mine. We know about the example of Ravan. He tried to make Sita Mata, he abducted her. What did it end up with? Him dying, right? So we have to be very, very careful, not be under material consciousness, but be on the spiritual consciousness. Sometimes we may see people in that material consciousness. And so we have to approach them, asking them, what are you looking in life? What is that you are seeing? And what are you trying to achieve? And help them understand that true happiness is not in taking, but in giving, in sharing. That becomes the source of true happiness. You say, let's look at so many examples in our life. In the material life itself, there are so many examples. When you do something good for others, people do charity for others, that makes them feel happy because they did it for others. They didn't do it for themselves. That's the mood of giving for a higher purpose. So there are different levels. Isms are there. So Srila Prabhupada does identify in Nectar Devotion that there are various isms, nationalism, brotherhood, and all these aspects are there. But unless they are all dovetailed with Krishna in the center, they will not lead to true happiness. Yet at the same time, the mood of giving is important, but you should give it to the main personality, main person who is providing us everything. Because if we don't offer it back, then we actually incur sin. And what does the reflection of sin? It will cause further distress. If you want to be happy, then you don't want to be distressed. If you don't want to be distressed, then you don't want to do things that cause that distress. So it's a very interesting cycle. And depending on the kind of person we are meeting, we have to preach them, or we have to inspire them to act in favor of Krishna to where they are, not where we are. This is one of the interesting aspects where most of the time we see devotees, they're going out for preaching and book distribution. They try to preach where they are, not where the other person is. In this regard, there's a short story by Srila Prabhupada. This Christian missionary, he was going out and he was addressing coal mine workers. And he was saying, hell is bad. It is damp, dark, hot there. They're like, that just sounds like a coal mine. What's bad in there? So he realized that he's never able to connect to these coal miners. And then he said, let me think. There's no newspaper in hell. Oh, all the coal miners said, oh, no newspaper in hell. That is very bad. So we have to connect to where they are, not where we are. So we have to connect to where they are. We have to understand what are they seeking, what could benefit them to feel inspired to come closer to Krishna. We are already inspired that we are going there, but we are going there also for our purification. So one of the important things I have also seen practically in my life, when I used to be a book distributor in the past, we still, like to distribute. When people ask about books, then of course we want to spread that knowledge. Yet, when in the beginning, there was once I had a really great day distributing. Our bags were literally empty by that in a couple of hours. We were like, we must have distributed so many books, and a couple of cartons were gone and whatnot, and 3-4 Srimad Bhagavatam sets were, sponsored and so forth. We were feeling very proud. Next day, all right, Saturday was such an amazing day. Sunday is going to be even greater. Not one book went out, because then we realized all day we did not receive Lord Krishna's mercy. Unless we receive Krishna Kripa, Guru Kripa, Vaishnava Kripa, we cannot get. We need to receive mercy of the Vaishnavas, Guru and Gauranga, to be able to do whatever we are able to do. And Lord Krishna reveals this in 1133 verse to Arjun. Nimitra matam bhavya sarvesachin. You are just an instrument. I'm the one really making things happen. You are just an instrument. So it makes us understand that we are just an instrument. And so before approaching someone, we should be praying to the Lordship. Shishi Nityananda Prabhu, Shishi Adi Guru, Guru Maharaj, Lord Krishna, please inspire me so that I can bring this person closer to you. And please inspire him to receive your message in a favorable way. So when we pray, the prayers are powerful. And then we approach in an inquisitive mind to understand where that person is and what they are seeking, so that Lord Krishna would give us inspiration to bring them closer to Lord Krishna. We are just an instrument. Hare Krishna, does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Oh, yeah. So beautiful. Because the first statement you made, it's just maybe just different words, but it's exactly what Srimad Prabhu taught us those days, that we should first of all acknowledge where they are at and accept that if they are happy, but we can bring them closer to a higher happiness. So thank you so much. It's so beautiful. Oftentimes, what we do is we approach people from where we are at, and we want to impose that on the people, which, if not all the time, but oftentimes doesn't really help. So thank you so much for the beautiful answer. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, please, you may indicate as usual, and then you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. Baisakhi, please, you may unmute.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhuji, thank you so much for explaining nicely various examples and stories. I have just one question that I want to ask, that as you have explained that miseries and happiness in our lives, and the people who are involved in our lives, and so what I understand is, or I have heard in one of the lectures, that it is due to our past karma or misdeed that good people are also behaving badly with us. So we should always remind within ourselves that one. And my question is how to constantly remind ourselves that this thing, how to constantly remind ourselves and to see Krishna within everyone. We know Krishna is present as Paramatma within everyone, but we forget every time, as we read and heard about this thing constantly, but still then we are getting upset about someone says something, or we are getting angry. So how to constantly remind ourselves that this is Krishna is doing, and how to see Krishna within everyone.
Yes. Thank you for this question, Rasaki Mataji. So again, how do we see Krishna in all kind of distresses and difficulties we see, and there may be different messengers of those distresses, and I'll not feel, have a negative feelings towards them and see Krishna in them. That's your question, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So again, we have to look at it, again, we have to change our perspective about things. Sometimes we see that this person is talking bad with me, this person is being disrespectful to me, and or even harming me. So we have to take a step back and try to understand that situation. And many times we say, oh, this is a roadblock in my spiritual path, I must remove the roadblock. No, actually, it's not a roadblock. It's a stepping stone. We are putting our head against that roadblock, and instead of that, we are getting hurt. If there's a rock in your path, you try to, move it. You don't have to move it. You have to just step on it, step over it. So it's actually a stepping stone. There is no roadblocks in our lives. They're only stepping stones to bring us to a higher ground. Which means always remember the third verse of Shri Shiksha Ashtakam. Tranadapi sunichena tarurapi sahishuna amani namana dena kirtaniya sadahari. We have to learn. These are the tests that Lord Krishna is sending our way. How to be more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree. Tree is known as Vraksha, one which is meant to be cut down. Trees are the ones, even Lord Krishna is glorifying the trees in Vrindavan, that they give fruits and various kind of herbs and their bark and shadow and shelter to so many living entities. And even at the end of their life, they are actually cut down and they're used to create so many things. So the giving nature we learn from the trees, how tolerant they are. And amanina, not expecting respect from others. Manadina, but be ready to give all respect to others. That has to be done. Now, if we are not at that particular advanced level, then of course we have to understand the modes of material nature, the three modes of material nature. They will always be inflicting dukhalayam and shashvatam. That's the nature of this material world. And we should always continue to take shelter of Guru and Gauranga and focus on the chanting of the holy name in a more humble mood. My dear Lord, please help me understand how can I become more tolerant. And sometimes we look at other persons from a different perspective than what it actually is. I want you to all of you to close your eyes and think of a person holding a knife in your hand, ready to cut your body, ready to cut you with that knife. How do you feel? You feel threatened, right? Do you feel fear? Do you feel scared? Now, open your eyes and realize that that person is your doctor. Now, what do you feel? Oh, the doctor will only benefit you. It will remove the disease, the impediments that you have in your path, means in your heart, all that impurity, he will drive that away. So that is what the 9 process of devotional services do to us. And when someone is acting as a messenger that we are feeling that they are not being favorable to us, they are actually the doctors that have been sent in our lives to remove the impurities from our heart. They are giving us an opportunity to become better us than to just, find faults in others. So these are some important ways we should be looking at things. Yes, sometimes we do see people that really are disrespectful and taking us away from Krishna. So that's where we have to see, okay, am I building a quality because of this interaction, improving myself to come closer to Krishna? If that's not the case, then I have to refrain from that company because that is not favorable. Yet at the same time, refrain means that you don't have to take their company, their association. You can still give your association to them to help them realize. But if they even don't like that, then you stop interacting. But take less of their company. Like I'll give you an example, mind in the beginning stage, when not your friend as your enemy, right? Mind is the greatest friend or your worst enemy. So that's why we give mind the association of our association, not takes association of mind. And how do we give the association to mind? Through the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So look at every situation with the understanding that this person is my doctor. He's trying to make me realize that there is an impurity and I have to overcome that impurity. And Lord Krishna will inspire them to behave accordingly, through their hearts. So again, we don't have to work on it. We just have to carry out our duties and our service for the pleasure of Shishi Radha Krishna. Does that answer your question, Vasaki Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Like we are all, I am new to this bhakti life, so it will take some time, but gradually with the mercy of Guru and Krishna, it will happen someday, I hope. So, thank you so much for this. Thank you.
And we are all in the Bhav Sagar, this material ocean, right? And the waves will keep hitting us. But we cannot stop our effort of trying to swim and stay afloat. So we have to carry out our duties and pray to the Lord. It's very interesting when there is this Ukraine and Russia struggle was going on. Many devotees, they were praying for Ukraine. And the same devotees were also praying for Putin. So it's very interesting. And we were online also praying for Putin that may Lord give him intelligence not to do so many atrocities to other people. So again, you don't have to just pray for the good, but also pray for the bad so that they become good. That is very important. And that's why when we say, Mukham karoti vachalam, pangum langhayate girim, yat kripata daham vande shigrum dinataranam. So we talk about all inclusivity, but think of a teacher who can make a D-grade student become an A-grade student. An A-grade student to become an A-grade student, not much effort required. But a D-grade student, one who's complete failure, to become the top. Now that's a great teacher. And that's the lineage we come from. Srila Prabhupada, when he came, what association did he have? When he came to America, means all these young American boys and girls he talks about, like they were in ragged clothes, they did not look clean at all. They had, they were violating all regulative principles. But now that they had taken to the spiritual life under the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, following, devotional services as processes, in their life, Srila Prabhupada himself said that now with their shaven head and the bright faces, they look as if they have just descended from Vaikuntha. So that is the amazing lineage we come from, where the worst can become the best. Then there is some hope for us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And Vaisakhi, thank you so much for your comment and question at the same time. I'm very much intrigued with the answer you gave, and actually one statement you made, because usually every 31st December, I share a prayer. And what I usually say is that I pray to God to bless all my enemies, because when my enemies get blessed, then they may stop hating on me. But not only praying for the good, but praying for the bad also, so that the bad can become good. So I'm happy with myself that I pray like that every year. But Prabhuji, I would like you to help us with some clarity, because I believe that some of us may read the scriptures, know the scriptures, but we may not understand what we are reading, and therefore we may not be able to apply the knowledge we have received properly in our day-to-day lives. Because Lord Chaitanya gave us these 9 prayers, of which the third one you made a reference to, Trinidad Peace in each. And this particular prayer has helped and also caused so much disaster
Mhm.
in devotional life,
Yes.
in ESCON as an organization,
Yes.
and the world in general, because those who are trying to become religious people, godly people, they want to be humble, they want to be tolerant. But I believe sometimes we misapply this because Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Lord himself, in the role of a Vaishnava, of a devotee, and playing the role of an acharya, he taught us this prayer. But when his devotee was attacked, Nityananda was attacked by Jaga and Madai, he was ready to kill them.
Yes.
Where was the humility? Where was the tolerance? So I think that this humility and the tolerance that Lord Chaitanya taught, all the acharyas continue to hammer on this because it's a must we need. But I believe that most of us misunderstand and therefore misapply them. So if you may help enlighten us with what this Trinara Sahishnuna actually means and how it can be applied.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very important question. And there are two important aspects I see that you are driving towards. First one is, how do we understand this verse of Tanarapi Darorapi Sahishnuna? And then second one, you talk about how do we understand from the perspective of reading literatures, the scriptures, understanding them, applying them, and so forth, practicing them. I would go to the first part where it's very interesting. Okay, let me pick up the book distribution first. So when we go out for book distribution, there is one thing that we say. Many times we say, here's a Bhagavad Gita, would you like to read or would you like to have? Then they say, no, I already have Bhagavad Gita. The next question we ask is, are you reading Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis? If they say no, then our encouragement would be, hey, you should read Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis. And if they share where they're living, then we can give them some contact information for Namhatta in that area where regular reading is going on of Bhagavad Gita. So that way they come in association of devotees. And sometimes people think that too. And sometimes they say, no, I'm reading it myself. So the next question is, okay, you're reading it yourself, but are you able to understand Bhagavad Gita? It's like, we were brought in Bhagavad, this culture from the childhood. We understand what Bhagavad Gita is. Then the next question is, are you practicing Bhagavad Gita? That sometimes bewilders them. What do you mean by practicing? I don't have to go to Kurukshetra beyond the war and decide whether I want to fight from Pandava's side or Kaurava's side. No, you're missing the point. The teachings in Bhagavad Gita is, this matra spashastra kante shitosha sukha dukkha agama paina anityastan tikshasva bharata. This is a verse on wisdom. Right? This verse is basically saying that happiness and distress in this material world are just like seasons, summer season and winter season. And it's for everyone, not only that the person who's following Krishna consciousness is experiencing this, everyone is experiencing this. So when people are in a mode of goodness, of course, they have this tolerance and humility easily acceptable. Mode of passion, they have less tolerance. They're more about I and mine, aham mameti. And then more mode of ignorance, they are lazy, right? And the material, this Kali age is in full influence on them in mode of ignorance. So that's where then they would say, oh, I should practice it. How can I practice? Again, share them information about the temple or devotee community in their area so that they can associate. And finally, it dives back to the 64 principles of community building. Because when we build community, that building of community is based on based on these principles where we have to make sure that the devotees also understand this, that when they're interacting with a new person or even a person who's not so familiar with Krishna consciousness, with the same level of love, with the same level of care, with the same level of giving and sharing as they would do it to the person they love the most. Then, of course, the open heart opens other hearts. Just like when we smile, others smile back. So it's a exchange. It's a loving exchange. Dadati Pratika Hanati. Those 6 loving exchanges. That was the basis of Srila Prabhupada creating the temples, the community, so that the devotees can have living exchange. And when Srila Prabhupada was asked, how many disciples do you have? It's like many. He didn't have at that time initiated disciples, many of them, but he has many. Some know it, some don't know it. So we extend this particular saying further. How many devotees are there when somebody says? Then we say, all of them, some know it, some don't know it. It's only a matter of time that they will come to the full realization of who we are as living entities. Which brings us to the next ground. Of course, community building becomes the focus where loving exchanges happen. It is by the love that we direct towards Lord Krishna and the devotees in that association that we all experience happiness. So it is for everyone's benefit when we are looking from that perspective. So we can not just give a book to someone and say, okay, now you're on your way. No. Then we actually have done disservice, because we actually have not understood the purpose of big distribution. The purpose of big distribution is to bring that person closer to Krishna. And it becomes spontaneous for someone to experience devotional service if they're part of a community, if you're part of a devotional group, if they're part of regularly carrying out some level of services. So one of the interesting things is, this is His Holiness Ramapad Maharaj, by his example. He's one of my Shiksha Gurus as well. He showed the first time, he was a doctor, medical student. He came to the temple. The first service he was given was wash the pots and pans. And he went there saying that, how can I do this service to the best of the ability? And he said, if there is a one black spot, then I have not done my service properly. He washed those pots and pans with so much care and so much labor and so much attention to make sure that not one black mark is on any of the pots and pans. And that is how we should be approaching this. And he said that that was my own internal cleansing of my heart. So we have to see how we are doing the service and how dedicated our way towards that service. Sometimes people have this tendency, I want this service and not that service. I want to be the leader, not the follower. We are all followers, right? We are all Rupanugas. We are following the instructions of the Acharyas. And when coming in the new community, we accept, yes, we are all followers. Even the person who is driving is actually the biggest servant of everyone else. Sometimes we look at, oh, temple president, so much authority. Well, with great authority comes great responsibilities. So those responsibilities are on higher ground. When we carry out those responsibilities very nicely, everything becomes very much aligned. To based on your question, I'm trying to bring you back to the 64 principles of community building. So we have to understand how can we are not just showing them this is what the destination looks like, or this is what you need to follow, but how do you follow? That is important. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is saying what to do. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, he's showing by his example and his devotees' example how to do that. And in current age, it is in the community that we can relate to make it spontaneous in our heart how to follow the instructions that Shri Krishna has imparted to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And connecting with disciplic succession, that importance has to be shared in due course of time so that the journey is in focus. It's not just a stop for them that we met at a spot and just exchanged and then moved on. No. Then our service is incomplete. We are the instruments so that they get linked. So we create that link to the parampara, to the path back home. Yet at the same time, we are always strengthening ourselves as link, right? We are the instruments. And our whole chain, our whole community is only as strong as the weakest link. So we need to make sure that we care for each other so that there is no weak link in our community. So that's another aspect I would like to share. Now, there was another second aspect I wanted to share, and I already forgot that. Sorry. But does that respond to your initial inquiry? Sorry, I just remembered it by the mercy of Lord Krishna. It is heavily misapplied when we ask others to follow it and look at others' action to judge them on these principles. Sometimes somebody says, well, you are junior, you should be more tolerant, you should be more humble, you should be more listening. Actually, it's the other way around. If the person is more junior, he's more sick. And a sick person has higher sickness needs more care. We need to be more tolerant towards them. We need to be more caring towards them instead of expecting them to be more caring. You know, His Holiness talks about this spiritual society to be like embassies, and also like Srila Prabhupada talks about as hospitals. Embassies are important to understand, like this is a glimpse of the spiritual world. This is how spiritual world is like. That means our community should be acting like that embassies, showing that this is what the spiritual world is like, where every word is a song, every step is a dance. That should be the mood in the community. And if there is not the case, then this is a time for us to improve ourselves. And as hospitals, in hospital, you may find someone requiring just little cough medication to remove their cough and cold, while another person is going through a heart surgery, somebody is having ulcers and they're getting operated on. We are in different levels at different times. And the more grievous the sickness is, more care is needed to address that. And we all are in this together. So again, coming back to the same point, instead of judging others, we have to look at our faults and improve ourselves while extending ourselves amanina manana, not expecting respect for others, but giving all respect to others. When we give respect to others means we care for others, we look after others, their needs come before our needs. And that's what truly that humility and tolerance would bring. So if somebody says, I'm a senior person and I'm setting this direction, well, how does that direction enable you to show your humility and tolerance instead of expecting others to be more humble and tolerant? You want others to be able to come to that level of growth, to come closer to Krishna. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, very well. Especially on where we oftentimes throw this Trinidad appreciation to others. We do not begin with ourselves. And I think that is where the problem lies. So thank you so much. I have one piece of writing I want to do sometime very soon. And I would like to say something and then get your opinion to help me with my write-up coming up soon. And that is, one time we met His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj in Canada, Toronto. And of course, as soon as we saw him, we offered our obeisances, and he slowed down to receive our obeisances. And when we got up from the ground, he particularly looked at me, and that was the first time we met in person. So he looked at me and he said, "You are a disciple of Bhattacharya Maharaj?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj." Then he started shaking his head like this, and he said, "Please help him. Please help him." And of course I said, "Thank you, Maharaj." But I didn't understand why. And of course, at that time, my guru was no more in the physical body. He had passed on. But I was thinking to myself, why is Maharaj asking me to help my guru. It is my guru who is to help me. So I had so much thought about that single statement, simple statement Maharaj made. And then as time went on, I kept thinking about it. And I had so many realizations and thoughts. And I was thinking to myself, how amazing that Krishna and his pure devotees, they may just make one statement, but it means so much, it means so many things. And what I have come to understand about what Maharaj said to me to help my Gurudev is that my Gurudev is serving his Guru, Srila Prabhupada. And we as disciples are all to help him serve his Guru Maharaj. Now, if me being a disciple, if I act stupid, I'm not helping my Guru to serve his Guru. This is what I am thinking it means. So I'm saying this so that you may help me better what Maharaj actually meant by what he said to me, that he looked at, and it's difficult to explain, but it is a feeling, because when he looked at me, it's like you get some feeling that, yes, there is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very intense. So I don't know if you can help me, but my little understanding, this has been about, it's been about 6-7 years ago when Maharaj told me this. And I've been thinking about it, and the thought I come about is I have to try my possible best to follow the principles, try to become a devotee, so I can very well represent my Guru, which in effect represents Srila Prabhupada. But if you may have better or additional thoughts about what Maharaj meant by what he said to me, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So actually, that's a very important message that he gave you. And His Holiness Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, he would say many things that would take a moment for you to digest it. I'll give you an example. Once he was in Bangkok, Thailand, and he was at a store buying things for DT service. And then he went to the cashier and said, do we get any discount? We are monks, we are Buddhists. So now his disciple, his secretary was with him. He was like, what did he just say? We are Buddhists? So, of course, I don't know whether they got a discount or not, but he asked that question afterwards. Why did you say we are Buddhist? It's like, Lord Buddha is Lord Krishna's incarnation. We accept him as Lord Krishna's incarnation. So we are Krishna devotees, means Buddha's devotees too. Perfect example, right? Sometimes he would say something, but he actually has a very different order, a very heavy order behind it. And it's amazing that you actually understood his, his indication into the right aspect. His own life, he always said, ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's body. And we all have to work together to serve Srila Prabhupada. And he always gave us, his disciples, the same instruction, that this never leave the society, always help with this, work with the society, always work with the authorities. Because in reality, that authority is serving you by their various activities, all that they are doing. And we have to make sure that this is like Vaikuntha. So we have to act like perfect gentleman ladies, like Srila Prabhupada said, that my disciples are perfect gentleman ladies. While he's writing a letter of apology to the lady when his, some of his disciples did not behave, because he wants to set that as an example to his disciple, what his expectation of him. of them is. Also, when he came, he never took credit to, that I did this. He said, no, it's only by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. My Guru Maharaj gave me one instruction. That instruction was given when he first met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada. When Srila, Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada, he said, you are nice gentlemen, you know English, why don't you, distribute this knowledge in English? Well, distributing knowledge in English is not just, talking to someone in English to help them understand Bhagavad Gita. He understood the message. He started Back to Godhead magazine. Then the lady came along. He said, oh, I have to write it. So he wrote English edition of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Twice he lost those editions. Once in India when his wife gave it to get some tea bags. Second time it was stolen when he was in New York. Third time he again wrote it. So he never gave up writing, because that's the order of the spiritual master. We have to understand what's the extension of that order is, what is meant. And that's the quality of a first-class devotee or disciple. There are three categories of disciples. When a guru asks a disciple, or even a senior person, or someone who is encouraging another person to ask to do something, you may get three kinds of responses. That tells you what the person is: first class, second class, third class. First class is they would understand the purport of that message. What is behind this? Just like when Vishwamitra, he asked Lord Ramchandra, what's Pashyati, Dhanur Pashyati, go and look at that bow. Lord Ram could have said, why do I look at it? A third great disciple would say, why should I go and look at it? You want to know about it, you go and look at it. They would act like that. That's a third class response. Second class would just go and say, okay, I looked at it, come back. And told the Guru, yes, I looked at it. It looks nice. It's really big. It's white in color. It's got really strong, shape and this and that. Describe it. But Lord Ramchandra shows by his example what a first-class follower would do. First-class follower, as the first-class, Lord Ramchandra understood my Guru is asking for me to look at, to test it out, to examine this bow and arrow. So he picked up that bow and he tried to put the pratyancha, the thread, on its other end. That's when it broke, because he was so powerful. When he bent it, it broke. So that's the quality, to understand the purport of what has been asked. And so Srila Prabhupada, he understood that my Guru Maharaj asked me, but then he could have just written the book in India and said, okay, I'm done. No, he understood that my Guru Maharaj asked me to translate in English so that others understand. How would they understand my book? I have to take it to them, right? That's the quality of a great salesperson. He does a salesperson marketing. Once again, there's some interesting aspect is that goes and finds the audience. So Srila Prabhupada had already seen people going to, England and not succeeding. He said, but England is not as powerful as America. I'll take it to America this time. I'll go to America. He came to America, New York. And even people who had, given up the regular etiquettes to be, considered good part of the society, he made them understand. That's why this is the amazing parampara where we see that the knowledge is so powerful and the messenger is so powerful. By mercy of Lord Krishna, that Srila Prabhupada is constantly praying to the Lordship that please, make me dance as you want, my Lord. So he wrote that after he came out of Jalduta, that poem, because that shows his mood, that I'm ready to do whatever it is. And my dear Lord, I have no capability, but you can make it happen. You can bring this Bhakti Vedanta purport in action. So you can bring this title into life. And that should be the mood. And every time he was given credit, he said, he would give immediately that credit to his spiritual master. Because what is our credit? We are not the doers. We are just carrying out the orders of our spiritual masters. And in that carrying out, our life becomes successful because those instructions are for our purification, for our benefit. Yet at the same time, it connects us with that spiritual world because it's making us move along. But alone, there is a current trend of society is they want seedless fruits. seedless oranges, seedless cucumbers, seedless this, seedless that. We don't want to be seedless. We want to spread those seeds for the future generations to come along. And that's what the parampara tells us. That's what the succession tells us, that we will be succeeded by others. But how will they succeed unless we go out and preach and carry out? But what is our ability to preach? We don't have any ability. We just have received the mercy of our Guru, and we carry out those orders, and that is going to become the seeds for the future generations. And that's why that third principle is very dear to my heart by His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, where he says, treat everyone like the success of your spiritual growth depends on that interaction. And how do you treat? Like you treat the person you love the most. And sometimes people say, can you show how Krishna treated in that manner? Well, he treated in that manner. He gave, liberation to every demon who came to Vrindavan. But to Indra, he was very tolerant. He did not annihilate Indra. The thought did come. Acharya Sri Jiva Goswami in his writing says, he felt at a moment like when Indra was sending out the torrents of rain, I could just annihilate Indra. Karun, his career became upset. Yet at the same time, Lord said, but he's my devotee. I should fix it instead of destroying it. I should give him another chance in this lifespan itself to become better than where he is now. So again, we see so many examples from Acharyas, from Lord Krishna himself, from the story of Pandavas, as they felt so many atrocities, but they never gave up their loving attitude towards their cousins and their uncle. So there's just so much to share. Hare Krishna. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. And we pray that we can all become sincere disciples, servants of our gurus.
Yes.
And we want to become sincere servants to our gurus because they represent the truth. And when we know and we practice the truth, then we will become free.
Yes.
So we've been here for like more than 90 minutes. So maybe we'll bring this to a close. Today is Friday, at the end of the week. And we pray that the parampara will help guide, protect us all through the weekend, and then bring us together again next week. So without further ado, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, JIVA TATTVA PRABHU Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama
Chitana
Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Vaishnava
Hare
Brinda ki Jai. Praise JIVA TATTVA PRABHU ki Jai.
Jai.
Assembled Vaishnava ki Jai.
Jai.
All Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.